Hey guys, and welcome to another Armoured Warfare video. So we've got a whole bunch of new premium vehicles that released a bit over a week ago now. So we're going to try and not get bitten when we check out the Shark Pack. Now, well, the Shark Pack is actually a pretty decent selection of vehicle. You've got three extremely popular vehicles, the Fox, the ERC-90 and the T-80, and one slightly less popular, and that is the Stingray 2. For the whole pack, it's something like €50 when you can compare similar to games like this. Sell tanks for 30-40 euros, that's single tanks. 4 tanks for a little bit more actually isn't too terrible. Or you can buy them individually. The 2 tier 5s are 1500 gold each, and the 2 tier 7s are 5500 gold each. This is awesome and a great step forward from previous packs where you could only buy the whole thing. So if you only like the T-80 but not the Stingray, you don't have to pay for vehicles you just do not want. But the thing is, I've never actually done a review on any of these tanks, so let's have a real quick look at them. First, let's start with the Fox. It's both a Shark and a Fox. Go figure. However, the Fox is easily one of the most popular AFVs in the game right now. High maneuverability, high speed, and fantastic firepower. The Fox is a pretty epic scout. Made for the United Kingdom to replace the aging Ferret scout cars, the Fox combines a 30mm cannon dealing 106 damage a shot from a 6-round burst. This is easily enough to do a huge amount of damage to light-skinned vehicles very quickly, but used in conjunction with a 2-shot ATGM launcher on the roof, firing Milan anti-tank guided missiles, they do 415 damage and have 513mm of penetration. It can put out a lot of damage very quickly, even against heavily armoured targets like main battle tanks, which when used alongside its fantastic camo rating and 456 meter view range, you can easily spot and engage targets well before they see you, and do a large amount of damage to them before they do. Just don't expect to be able to take any return fire at all. The Fox isn't armoured at all. Any fire, be it from cannons or even autocannon fire, will shred it. So the key to the victory with this thing, just try not to take any unnecessary fire. I am a huge fan of the Fox. I might be absolutely terrible at playing it, however I've seen some incredible Fox drivers pull off some crazy manoeuvres in this. And because it's so fast and agile, getting around main battle tanks, avoiding their return fire while shooting at their weaker rear, it's very easy to pull off, especially if that MBT is alone. But even if you start to get into a tier 7 game, you're really not useless. Your missiles still have decent penetration, even if the cannon of that tier is starting to bounce a lot, even on AFVs and other TDs. Just be aware that in a tier 7 game, a lot of things have APS systems, so the missiles can be slightly unreliable. However, you still have one thing, and that is your view range combined with maneuverability. So you can get to flank, spot for your big hitters, your high tier vehicles, even artillery. So no matter what tier you're in, you are very rarely useless. It's a great little tank, and because of that ability to combine damage and spotting, it makes a great premium vehicle because the payouts can be very large. It's one that I would definitely recommend picking up for sure. As is the second vehicle, the ERC-90 F4. Now, the F4 was built as a variant of the ERC-90, the main feature of which is its 90mm long barrel smoothbore gun that gave it a much higher velocity than its previous versions. It allowed it to have a higher penetration of enemy vehicles over long distances. In the game, you will find it at tier 5 as one of the most popular tank destroyers. That 90mm gun is one of the least penetrating guns in there, however. At 229mm of penetration, it actually has less penetration than the tier 3 Object 430 main battle tank, although the damage at 349 per hit with the APFSDS ammo is pretty decent. It's extremely accurate as well. In fact, the gun handling is incredible. The ability to hit weak spots over quite some distance, which really does negate that kind of low penetration somewhat. And the high rate of fire as well means that you can put a lot of rounds down range very, very quickly. Like the Fox though, it relies on speed, maneuverability, as well as fantastic camo values, and a view range of nearly 500 meters to be able to spot targets and engage them at distances without being seen. On account of the fact it's all got literally no armor at all, you sneeze in the general direction of this thing, it takes damage. However, with its smoke grenades, it can pop smoke, pull back, and like the base tank, you are the first tank to get access to the APS system to knock out incoming missiles in your direction, whether it's aimed at you or your allies. As much of a fan I am of the Fox, I like the ERC way more. The gun on paper doesn't sound that great, especially with the penetration being so low compared to anything else. However, as I said, the gun handling, it performs fantastically. The vehicle is so stealthy, it's unreal. You can sit at long range pumping out shots every 4.1 seconds with the way I've got it set up now. Plus you got smoke to help if you pull back, if you get spotted. Plus right now missiles are flying around everywhere almost constantly. So having an APS system to be able to just knock the missile out of the sky is hugely useful. And can give you time to pull back into cover should they be only firing missiles in your direction. This thing does struggle in a tier 7 game against main battle tanks as you would expect. Even the weak spots start becoming a little bit trolly. But because of the stealthy camo as well as the accurate gun, means that you can get flanking shots at an enemy, especially on large maps like the Global Ops ones. You can pump out a lot of damage before they realise where the shots are even coming from. I love the ERC, I love it a lot. And I'm so glad that it's got a premium version because with the amount of damage this can throw out, it's a pretty decent little earner in PvP or PvE. Now the only one I'm honestly not a fan of in PvP is the Stingray 2. This vehicle was designed as a straight upgrade to the Stingray 1, sporting a pretty accurate 105mm rifled gun, puts out a pretty decent 438 damage a shot, although with only 411mm of penetration, definitely not the punchiest of guns. Although it is punchier than the Challenger 1's gun, so it isn't terrible. What it does rely on is its decent top speed of 74km an hour, and great manoeuvrability to get round to the flanks and be able to put shots into the flanks of any advancing main battle tanks, or just pumping shots into the lighter targets, with a fantastic reload speed of just under 6 seconds, meaning that to lighter targets, this thing can absolutely demolish them. Armour wise, it's actually surprisingly strong. With apart from the turret anyway, the hull can actually take quite a beating. 553mm of hull armour is pretty impressive and can actually bounce quite a bit. It makes it very hard to pen with autocannons and similar tiered guns, although the driver's hatch is a pretty big weak spot right in the centre at the front, and that can be penned very easily from range. I'm going to be honest, I've never really been able to make the Stingray 1 or 2 work for me really. They're very easily penned at close range due to the turret armour being very weak, and that driver's hatch window is a real obvious weak spot that is very easily hit. However, if you try and play almost like a fast tank destroyer, almost like the ERC, it doesn't really have the view range or the camo to be able to pull that off, to pull off the tank destroyer style of play. Personally, I've always struggled with the light tank style of gameplay in PvP. I've seen good players pull it off though. It's not one that I can work out. So if you like the original Stingray or the standard Stingray 2 and want a premium version of it, this one is for you. However, this is where I found this thing to be amazingly fun, and that is in PvE. It's a properly big earner. With its fairly decent penetration and fast fire rate, with decent damage, it can do a ton of damage really quickly. And in PvE, this can earn you a lot of credits. I know some will say anything can be good in PvE, but I've had some really good luck with this. Keep that gun firing as much as you can. It's accurate enough to land shots, even the quickest of snapshots. It's a real solid earner, that's for sure. Now the final tank of the 4 is the T-80. Now the T-80 was the main battle tank of choice for Russia. It's got so many different versions. Currently the Shark is the standard T-80. However, when the new Russian vehicles come in, the T-80 is going to be split into multiple variants. It's more than likely this T-80 will end up as the T-80U, and will more than likely inherit the explosive reactive armour that the T-80U had. Currently in the game though, it's easily the hardest hitting of all of the tier 7 main battle tanks, with its 125mm cannon that can fire anything from APFSDS ammo to even anti-tank guided missiles. Now the armour piercing comes in with a monstrous damage of 568 per shot, and a huge 501mm of penetration. It's easily stronger than any other gun in its tier, and in fact, even more so than some guns in the tier above. This means it will go through any light-skinned vehicles with ease, and many main battle tanks' lower plates like butter. In return, its hull armour, it says it's only 372mm thick, however it's sloped at a crazy angle, making it bouncier than it sounds, and that it should be. However, it does suffer obviously from the same thing all Russian MBTs do. Weak lower frontal plate, fairly exposed driver's hatch, as well as a half damaged spot on the top of the turret. But it's more than enough to be a pain in the backside to come up against, especially if you come up against a hull down T80. It's no slouch either. It's pretty quick when it gets up to speed, more so than a lot of main battle tanks, meaning that you can pop up in unexpected places with your incredible firepower. The T80 is a tank that I really got to grips with. The damage output from this thing is something to be feared if you come up against one, especially if you're light enough for heat shells to go straight through. You can expect a 713 damage shell coming your way. I absolutely am a main battle tank player in Armoured Warfare. That's where I feel comfortable and I find myself having the most fun. I am a very aggressive player, too aggressive for most AFVs and light tanks. However, MBTs like the T80 allow me to push the line, dish out damage as well as bouncing some of that return fire. This tank suits me down to the ground and I find it fantastic fun to drive. Not only that, but with the amount of damage it puts out, combined with the bonuses from it being a premium vehicle, it's a properly strong earner and definitely my favourite out of all of the four. Now, if you could only pick up one of the four, I would say to grab the T80. It's a fantastic tank and definitely worth the gold. Well, honestly, all four are worth it in my eyes. They are all decent earners and they can definitely help you get those extra credits together to buy all your tanks if you don't want to convert the free XP. However, if you are going the free XP route, not only do you get the credits, but also progress through your tanks quicker if you convert it. You maybe even unlock a few things on a new tank. It doesn't feel quite so painful when you first get it. Offering each of the tanks individually was a great plan, because if there's a new tank and you don't like it, you don't need to buy it, or you can buy them in bits and pieces if you want, rather than one big bundle. This is easily the best pack they've done so far. Hopefully this is a sign of the things that they're going to do with premium packs going forward. Plus, let's be honest, all of these tanks are not only great tanks in their own right, but man, they look badass as well. So I hope you've enjoyed my quick rundown of the new Shark Pack vehicles in Armoured Warfare. Let me know what you think of these vehicles, whether you intend to pick any or all of them up. I would be really interested to hear from you. Just a heads up, tune in this Thursday, the 3rd of November, for a very special Armoured Talk episode with the Armoured Warfare Contact Manager Silent Stalker. Tune in on the 5th of November, twitch.tv/headshot or here on YouTube for the 24-hour extra live charity stream. I look forward to seeing you all there, and as always, many thanks for watching. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you like my content, and I shall see you in the next video.